welcome back to another episode of Everyday Bubbly with Taylor and Allegra. As always, we are so happy that you're here, raising a glass with us to a little something to celebrate every day. Allie, what are we celebrating with today?
I know, we're doing a little bubbly today. I don't know if that was intentional, but
It actually was not intentional
it
at
was
all.
not, but I think it was one that we were like, let's try this one out. So today we are drinking another wine from the CL Buteau winery that Taylor and I have become members at. This is a really delicious one. This is their 2022 Blanc de Noir, which you were explaining to me is basically a white wine that is made from red grapes.
Because this is made from a Grenache.
100% Grenache
Yeah,
wine.
and usually you think of Grenache as it's a light-bodied red generally.
Yeah.
But you don't usually see a lot of whites made with Grenache. And I mean, maybe you guys know, maybe you don't know. I think we are still learning so much about wine, even a year into this podcast and many years into drinking.
Yeah.
But like white wine is just wine that is fermented without the skins, and red wine does have the skins. So like
It's not like one's made with red grapes and one's made with green grapes.
right.
Yeah.
So just like a little bit of little boost of knowledge, I guess. We're still very much learning about a lot of these things. And if you want to know, orange wine is white wine with the skins left on for a little bit, and then they take it off. So just a fun fact. But yeah,
That's how you get all the colors of the rainbow in your wine.
Cheers to our Blanc du Noir. Right? Day? I actually don't even know.
I think it's day.
Blanc de
Day.
Noir from CL Buteau.
Day-o.
We say Day Noir.
Day noir.
Well, today we are talking about something that I think is very near and dear to both of our hearts. And
Something that we definitely think about pretty often, and that's habits.
Habits, good habits, bad habits, how to break some of your not so ideal habits and build a better foundation of good habits. I think by the time you enter your mid-30s and you're knocking on these doors of mid-30s, you have definitely built up some habits.
Yeah.
That maybe you're not super, I know that I have definitely like even some mindset things that I'm not super in love with, and I don't think that they are what suits me best for my long term and like who I want to continue to be and grow and develop into. So we really want to spend some time just breaking down our ways of breaking down some of those habits, and some habits that we are actively working through. I think the important thing is like, I think this is the theme across all of our podcasts, I hope. And if you're new here, like, well, welcome, buckle in. But we don't have all of the answers. We're in the same place y'all are, and where we're like, how the fuck am I supposed to do all of the things that are expected of me? And it's just a lot. So we don't have all the answers, but we hope that you can like learn or take away something from talking to the two of us about how we approach that, and maybe it'll be applicable to you. Maybe it'll be like help you see things in a slightly different way. And like, that's always our goal.
Yeah. And I think like habits are just interesting because they form from your personal experience. So factors in your day-to-day life, the people you're around, your environment, it doesn't take long at all to form a habit. Like anywhere, I think from 2 weeks to 20 days to form one, and it takes much longer to break them.
Yes.
Because especially if you're not changing your environment and you're still in that day-to-day, you just feel more not as empowered to break habits.
Yeah.
And even just like starting and building new habits can be really challenging too. So this is just supposed to be kind of a very casual conversation on maybe habits that we both have and see in each other, and things that, the good and the bad, because I think we can learn a lot from other people's, day-to-day habits.
And it's also interesting the habits that you think are really prevalent, like bad habits you find really strongly in yourself. We were talking about this right before we started recording, that like other people don't see. Like I think one of my really bad habits is I struggle a lot with perfectionism and always I'm like very hard on myself, and I always like expect so much. And you're like, oh, yeah, I would never have guessed that.
I'm like, I get that you're a type A person and that you like things to be a certain way, but I guess just because of how unperfect I am as an individual and that we mesh so well, I'm like, oh, like, I don't think she's a perfectionist. I think she sees the grace in people. And it's funny hearing you saying like, no, I'm the hardest on myself in terms of that. You do a bit of a job of, you know, but I also don't live with you. I'm sure if we, if we lived together, I would see it more.
I'm honestly so grateful that we've, like, I am and I'm not, that we've never been roommates.
Yeah.
I think we would
hate each other.
Yeah, I think there are friends that you can have that are great friends, but they are not great roommates. And I've lived with those people. Yeah. And it changed our friendship, like irreparably. So I'm grateful, honestly, that we never lived together.
No, I mean, after, I don't even know how to explain that. I feel like the people who I've lived with and had good living relationships besides my partner would be like people who I'm not like super close with.
Yeah.
Close enough to be able to like have conversations or like spend time in the same room with them, but not close enough that like I don't feel weird like just going and holing up in my bedroom because I don't want to hang out with them. So
yeah, I feel like we are on a bit of a tangent, but like since I've been in Austin, I've only lived with my like best friend from high school, and it was great. We had so much fun together. I lived by myself, and then I moved in with my partner, and I've been living with my partner for the past 6 years.
Yeah. So
weird. Wow, yeah, I never thought about that. That's not what we're talking about today. We're gonna have a whole different episode about dating and partnership. We've had a few about partnership in general, but
that's separate for another episode.
Different chat for a different day. What are some of your maybe strategy when it comes to, would you rather talk about breaking down bad habits or like instilling new ones? I'm kind of into the breaking down first and then rebuilding.
Breaking down is totally fine. I don't know, it's hard to talk though about breaking down because I feel like I have acknowledged what my bad habits are, and they are ones that I am actively working on, but I don't know if I can truly say these are things that you can do to break those habits because I still do them, you know? So like just being very real, being late.
Oh yeah.
I am a perpetual late person.
Late. You guys, I just assume if I tell Allie a time, she'll show up 15 minutes later. Yeah. Whether we are meeting out or we are meeting at my own home.
Yeah.
I just assume.
I think
bake that in.
I always joke, I'm like at some point in my life, like I was 15 minutes late and I've just never been able to catch up. I just always run 15 minutes late, which is a stupid excuse and one I've tried to get better at. I think the biggest thing I'm doing to actively combat it is I'm a big fan of Google Maps and Waze, and when I'm getting ready in the morning, like this is for like when I'm going to work, I'll put, you know, I'll start like I'm going to my office and I'll have the Google Maps running and it kind of like ticks down and shows me like, you know, it's gonna take 15 minutes, so you're gonna arrive at this time. And then the 15 minutes like doesn't really change, but the arrival time changes. And I just constantly keep it open and keep looking at it. So I know how much time, like when I really need to get out the door. So
kind of based off of that, like my strategy, quotation marks, for breaking a bad habit, like step one is like identifying what is the fucking habit.
Step one, identify.
Late.
Yes. Know it.
Step two for me is like, what is triggering this habit? Like, so sometimes if I'm being a perfectionist about, let me think, what's something that planning something. Planning a trip. Like what part of that trip planning process stresses me out the most? Am I stressed out that we're not gonna like hit sites? That I think we're not gonna get cute pictures? Am I stressed out because I've never been here before and I like don't know the lay of the land or like whatever? And I like try and identify what one factor is the most impactful for me, and like then I like start there. So like if I'm stressed out because I think I'm not gonna get cute pictures when I go to Paris, this is a true life example, this has really happened. I will literally look up some of the places I'm going or like restaurants I'm going on Instagram, look at the tagged photos and see other pictures that people have taken. or like go on Pinterest and like
you better prepare yourself.
I better prepare myself. So like that way when I'm stressed out about like XYZ and I'm like freaking myself out about it, but like there are things that I can do. And like, yes, you can take that to an extreme, but like I don't have to be so hard on myself in the moment because I've better prepared. Like that's kind of my strategy. What do you think your like trigger is for being late? Because like sometimes when I'm running late, it's because I don't like my outfit and I've changed 6 times. Or I don't remember how long my makeup takes or like stuff like that.
I don't know. I think it's not like one certain thing. I always do think I have like more time or that it takes me less time to do things than it does. Like somehow like because I took a 5-minute shower once in my life, I think that every shower I take is 5 minutes and it's not. Or like outfits. I like have an outfit planned in my head and then I like go to put it on and I hate it.
It looks like trash.
And I have to like change like 4 times. And so like where I really get stuck is like, I'm like, okay, like I have to be somewhere at 3:30. So I need to leave my house at 3:15. So by the time like 2:30 rolls around, I'm like, okay, I have plenty of time. And then it's like, wait, all of a sudden I realize I need to rinse off. I hate my outfit. I usually end up doing my makeup in the car. It's like,
can't confirm.
Yeah. So it's, I think it's different things. But I think the moral of the story that I've learned is I like always need more time than I think I do.
Yeah, just baking that in. I think I do that
or like putting in like my calendar, like leave at this time. So I really am like accounting for the commute.
Yes. Did you know that you can also in Google Maps set an alert for when you should, like you can pre-schedule something. Like I need to be at, this is an example, Taylor's house at 3:45 on Tuesday. You can preset that like the day before or earlier in the day, and it will tell you when you should leave by in order to get there on time.
Nice. I did not know that. I love that though.
Yeah, it's just like things like that I think are like super, I always bake in like way too much time. I'm always like perpetually early.
Yeah.
Or like right on time. And I think I give myself too much travel time. Like I go bad habit the other way.
But that's honestly like better because then when you have an unexpected flare up, like you can't find a parking spot or there's a wreck on the highway, you are in a better position to be able to like meet that.
Yeah.
And I just like, it's across the board. It's social things, it's work things. I feel like I've gotten better in the work regard because now that I'm in this like more leadership position, I feel like it's unacceptable to be late to, especially to client things, you know? But with my social life, it is still very much. And sometimes with the social, it's like my meetings run over, or after a meeting, I get like sucked back into my email, and then I'm like, oh shit, I need to be leaving in 5 minutes to like make it to where I'm meeting my friend. And I should have just like after the meeting closed the computer, any emails you can get to.
Yeah,
later.
It is hard sometimes though to do that context. Like when you have it in your head, you just kind of like get it out while it's still like fresh and you're in the zone. So yeah, that's definitely difficult.
Yeah.
One thing that habits that I struggle with, I feel like are very like mindset based, kind of like going along with being a perfectionist or like just being really hard on myself or like fixating on certain things, trying to find like a replacement idea. So like, I remember like if I'm like a really bad habit, I think most women can like appreciate this, like comparison. Like comparing yourself to somebody else.
Yeah.
So like I'll be like out and like having fun, and then I see somebody in like a really cute outfit. I'm like, oh my god, like they look so good. I don't look that good.
My outfit's garbage.
I look so stupid. Nobody's ever thought I've ever worn anything cute ever, and like fucking
spiraling.
And like just trying to like be like, oh, like maybe that's true, but like you don't know how much. Not that it's a competition, but like you don't know how much she squats. You don't know, like maybe she looks really cute, but you don't know like what her personal life is like or any of that. And like trying to like take myself out of that mindset. I feel like that is a really big, like that's one of my really bad habits is just like
comparison.
A lot of comparisonitis. So trying to like be more grounded in reality in situations like that. We could have a whole podcast about this like mindset shit.
And that's like, I mean, I think a lot about that with social media, which is one that we were like saying, like people like being on your phone and just like that phone obsession is probably a bad habit that most people have, especially as it's just become easier to access the internet and easier to be online and be social with people in a way that isn't face to face. But I think about that too. Like you're only ever like putting your best foot forward on social media.
Yeah.
So when you like see people's pictures, they're not posting their day-to-day picture. And actually some of my favorite like influencers that I follow are the ones that like post the stories that they literally have like baby vomit on their shirt and like their hair is not done and they just are like sharing a tidbit or something and they're very like real about it. Sure, they still have the post on their pages, but it's like the stories that get like a little bit more realistic. So and it's like being able to like put your phone down. It's like it can be so difficult and just like sometimes I don't even realize that I'm like at dinner and like I pick up my phone and all of a sudden I'm looking at social. I was at dinner with my sister and my mom yesterday. My sister was like, "Why are you doing that right now?" I was like, "It's like almost second nature." Like there was a lull in the conversation, or they were talking about something that I couldn't contribute to because it was just something that they were talking about, and I was like, okay, I'll just pick my phone up and I see that there's a new social a notification.
It's so easy to get sucked in and like boredom comes up so much for me there. Like whenever I feel like a little bit teeny tiny bit bored, I like pick up my phone. I don't even have a chance to feel bored yet, and I'm like,
that is such a good point.
Or I'll close out Instagram and immediately reopen Instagram out of, again, habit.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to like going through that
boredom
motion.
Thing is so good. I've noticed this is so bad. And so if anyone has, again, tips, this is about acknowledging the habit. I scroll when I'm at a red light because I'm bored.
That's so bad.
Because I'm bored of driving. I'm like, entertain me. Luckily, I am a lot better about putting it down when it's green, and so I'm not actively looking at it while I am physically driving. But the fact that I can't even like make it from like my office to my house, which is like an 8-minute drive, without looking at TikTok or Instagram at a red light. It's
one of the things that I
terrible.
did, because that's a really bad habit. I would spend so much time just like scrolling. I put a timer on myself. And I will say the Samsung phones are a little bit better they're more locky-outy than putting a timer on.
My sister has the timer and she just
15 minutes.
Extend.
The Samsung will like lock it. Like you have to go back into the settings and like change your time in order to do it. And that I'm like, this is true. I have 30 minutes of TikTok a day.
Wow.
So I have to be mindful of it. Like I'm not gonna just have my TikTok open when I'm driving and like letting it scroll by itself, like play by itself. And I'm not like, that's wasting my time. I only get 30 minutes. And that's a big way of how I've broken myself of like reaching for it. I'm like, are you gonna have time to like sit and like do some TikTok, which is fun. Like I love a fucking scroll. I love a bedrock scroll, but this like lets me, going back to like a mindset, like it makes me be more mindful. I'm like, I have 30 minutes.
Yeah. I love that. I'm curious to see like what options there are on the iPhone, because you're right. I think the one that I've seen of the iPhone, it's like you can limit the app, but then when the alert pops up, you can
also limit it in TikTok.
You can just extend it.
You can also limit within TikTok itself, I think.
I love the TikToks that are like, hey, you've been scrolling, you need to stop. It's like,
you get TikToks that say that?
Oh yeah. After like a certain amount of time, it's like, I don't even know how the algorithm knows, but it's like, hey, it seems like you've been scrolling a lot.
Do you get the alerts?
No, it's
like, I get like
it's like a brand's TikTok that's like telling you to like do something else.
No, sometimes I'll get alerts that are like, no, I set this. After 10 minutes of scrolling, I get a TikTok notification that's like, you've been scrolling for 10 minutes. You can keep going, but also like, do you want to get up?
Yeah.
So that's another thing that like breaks me.
I love
just,
that
sitting.
like TikTok's doing that. Like TikTok you would think would be like,
scroll.
Stay, scroll.
Come play with us.
Come play with us. Don't look away.
Big one. I've set timers on myself, and that kind of helps with the phone. Also, like again, like finding a replacement, like how I find replacement thoughts. Like maybe you're on your phone, but you're looking at a book instead of going straight to Instagram, or you're like picking up a real book, or like going the fuck outside. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's not always an option if you're literally driving. You don't want to go outside when you
Well,
are.
but the things that I feel like I've tried to start implementing and I should just do a better job is like literally just putting the phone away in a place that you can't access it. Like when I drive, I could just put it in my backpack and put the backpack in the back seat. I can't access it while I'm driving.
Yeah.
Or like when I go to dinner, like put my phone in my purse, put the purse like not within arm's reach. So like if you want to pick it up, you're like either intentionally getting it for something and just putting it on do not disturb too, because do not disturb when you're not seeing all of the alerts and all the activity, I think it helps.
I also have like no notifications.
Yeah.
I have text notifications and like I don't have any social media notifications on my phone. And I think that's another thing that helps me personally. Like not, maybe that helps you, but like that's something that helps me.
Yeah.
I also have a bad, this is like a bad habit that goes into our like wanting to make good habits. I have a bad habit of like not eating breakfast. And I know that when I don't eat breakfast, then I'm like super starving later in the day. I get caught up in other things and I like blah, 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 blah. Like things just fucking spiral.
Yeah.
And how I break myself, going back to like what the trigger is for me for that habit is like, oh, I feel like I don't have enough time to eat breakfast. So then I like make sure I have things that are fast that I can just do that way I'm having breakfast. And that's something that honestly, it sounds so stupid, but I struggle with that. I work from home. What the fuck do I have going on?
Yeah.
And I like struggle so much to just eat breakfast.
Yeah, I've noticed the days that I struggle with it, it's either because I feel like I don't have enough time, like you said, or it's because sometimes I'm just like not hungry.
Yeah.
But even on the mornings when I don't feel hungry, I always feel so much better at the end of the day when I still make myself eat something, even if it's like smaller, a little cup of yogurt or some fruit or some granola.
Yeah.
It's like, even if you just like eat that, then you don't feel so ravenous when lunch comes around.
Yeah. That's a habit that I'm like constantly trying to work through.
Constantly.
What's another habit that you're working through? And like, how are you breaking yourself of it?
Well, like kind of in the same vein is like making better decisions about food and like snacking. I used to come from a world where I wouldn't really eat breakfast, wouldn't even really eat a good lunch either. So I would like come home from work and want to eat everything in sight and want to just snack on things, or like have a bad day and I'd want just like a little bit of candy or like snacks that are like comfort foods, but not nutritionally beneficial or doing anything in terms of like making your body actually feel good. So I've started to try to like swap out alternatives. Like instead of going for chips or for candy, I respectively go for like beef jerky or yogurt, like non-fat yogurt, because like they still kind of fit the same. Like beef jerky's like kind of salty and chewy. Yogurt, especially like with fruit, can be like a little bit of that sweet or tart that I get from like candy or gummy bears. So I found like even just those two, like having plenty of that kind of food stocked in the house keeps me from making poor food decisions, I guess. So
yeah, I feel like one for me before we like go into like making good habits. That
is a good habit though.
That is a good habit.
That's just acknowledging. Yeah.
I think that's a really good habit. For me, like the idea that like I just have to have a drink when I go out.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that's a big one. It's like I always just want
to have a drink when I have a stressful like thing happen.
When you have
to
a stressful day, like I like the act of, I like cocktails, I like fun flavors, like I like these tastes, and like it's so easy to get wrapped up in like going out or like going to a party where you don't know somebody, so you like have a drink because it's easy. And like that has been a really I try and do dry January. I've talked about it on the podcast before. Like I try and do dry January. I like take breaks from drinking, but it's so, like there's that itch to just like have something.
Yeah.
And replacing it with something that same but different. If I want a cocktail, how about we have like a glass of I like soda water with bitters in it. That way it still tastes, gives you the same like flavor profile.
Yeah.
Or like a kombucha, or like drinking things out of a wine glass, like tricking
fizzy
myself.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's something that I'm like constantly trying to like, that's a habit. Like when I go out, I automatically get a drink.
Yeah.
First thing.
My trigger for that, because I do that too, is my anxiety. And I just feel better when I have like something in my hand, something to sip on. But like getting just a glass of sparkling water fulfills that same need. And the best part about that is like nobody has to know that I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
But I've stemmed that to that exact thing. Like sometimes I don't even want to drink, but like if I'm in a social setting where I don't know a lot of people,
you just grab it.
I run to it. I'm like, I literally can't even have a conversation without having something, like a little crutch with me.
What are some good habits that you like try and instill? And like, how do you do that?
Well, I think we talked about some of them. I was like thinking about like the phone stuff and the food swaps. I feel like another one that is like trying to build better habits is the habit of getting more movement in your day. I know that you are such a big proponent of it. And I know my sister has also helped me just like the 10,000 steps a day, which I was never hitting before. And now, you know, getting a walking pad like you had suggested, trying to get the dogs out on walks, even though it's now like so freaking stifling hot. It's like, they're gonna burn their little balls.
I know.
You don't want to do that to them. But like the walking pad and just trying to like, even when I go to my office and the days that I'm in my office it feels so much harder because I don't have a standing desk or a walking pad there.
Yeah.
But I just try and like every hour try to get up and move around the office, either take my computer and try to work somewhere else, or walking to the kitchen or walking out of the office and around the building, like just trying to instill more movement. And even when I get close to like my 10,000 steps, but I don't quite get to it, I will like be up. It's like 11 p.m. and I will literally, just like walk in circles around the kitchen island, and I'll be like, just like moving around, and I feel fucking ridiculous.
Same.
Adam's snoring in the bedroom. All the dogs are asleep, except Chico sometimes is like, what is this woman doing? And he like gets up, follows me around.
Oh, cheeky.
And I'll pick him up sometimes and just like kind of do like little
weighted
squats and movements with him. But I'll do it. And I will like, I went from 4,000 steps one time to getting 11,000. Because I was like, well, I'm just gonna listen to my audiobook, and like I was like marching in place, and like I felt like a psycho.
I've been there. We've all been there. A habit that I'm trying to be better at, and a way that I do it, honestly, maybe this goes back to like ways to break bad habits. I love to add habits to habits that already exist. So I'm trying to be better about like meditation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when I was trying to get back into the habit of journaling, I like dropped off of that. I have a habit of, as soon as I wake up, I take my temperature, because I'm on like, I do like cycle syncing or whatever it's called, I don't know the official name. But as soon as I wake up, I like take my temperature. I'm like, how about I put my thermometer on top of my journal next to my headphones? So I grab that, then I grab my headphones. I do a little meditation. My journal's right there. I grab that. So before I've even gotten out of bed, I've like hit the habits that I want to do. Habit stacking.
Such a powerful thing when done properly.
There's this book called Atomic Habits. Maybe you guys have heard of it. I think you've probably heard it. I think I've
heard of it, but I've never read it.
I have it on the bookshelf. I read like at this point, enough other people have read it that I get the fucking gist. I don't need to read the book anymore. Habit stacking is like literally like do small, teeny tiny little things. You don't have to overhaul your entire person or personality or routine. Add the journaling next to your thermometer. If you know that every morning you like wake up and you give the cats or the dog breakfast, put your vitamins next to their food so you see it. So it like triggers something in your head.
It's making small changes that have really big later on effects.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite little like graphics is like that, like 1% every day compounded over time is so much better than like taking one massive 50% leap and then stagnating. And
that's the whole point of like weight loss. And I feel like I've just been on this like weight loss kind of journey. everyone says if you're losing 1 pound a week, very slow and steady, you're 100% more likely to keep it off than doing those really big crashes of like losing 20 pounds in 2 weeks. And then it's like not sustainable because you haven't built the habits of taking care of yourself. You're just following these crash things that fuck with your system.
Yeah. So. And I think like if you're trying to build that, you like kind of talked about this, like building the habit of eating better or more nutritious, or like whatever word you want to use, like having those replacements. So it's like an easy way to like switch that habit, or like you're trying to get more protein in. So I'm sure that's like a part of like you've added that on to something that you already
and knowing
do.
Like if you finding your triggers, like you're saying, like if I know I'm a comfort snacker or a comfort wine drinker, figuring out like why are you upset and other better alternatives. If I'm feeling anxiety in my head, should I go for a walk instead of going and getting candy or scrolling or things like that, or like cuddling my dogs to get that dopamine rush. So
and like one thing I know that we like are kind of getting close to time, but like one thing that stands out a lot to me when it comes to habits, and I like read this, it probably was like on a fucking blogger site like moons ago, and I like it like has stuck with me so much, and I've like done a lot of work beyond that. Your thoughts become your like actions, and your actions become your life. So like so much of it is about just like changing the way you look at things. Like if you want to eat healthy, but you also think that healthy food tastes like fucking dog shit, like you're not gonna actually purchase health. Like you don't have to eat fucking wheat germ.
No.
So it's like changing your mindset, I think, is a big thing. And like I think for me, when I realized I was scrolling too much, or like when I get really down in my perfectionism, is like this is a mindset thing more than anything else. And like I can't control everything. I can't control traffic on my way to work.
Yeah.
But like I can control how I feel about myself and like about a situation.
100%.
Which like doesn't even feel like it's about habits. But like so is.
It is, because when you don't have that mindset shift, you just resort to things that maybe like feel good in the short term that aren't actually healthy for you long term.
And that's on habits.
It's like I get why drug addicts do what they do.
Yeah.
But it's like finding other outlets for them.
Yeah, you have that like groove that you're like go through. Like sometimes you don't even think about these things. Like you just do them.
Like if you're sad, like dancing in place has like the same effect as, doing a drug that kicks up your dopamine.
Yeah.
So let's take it that way.
If you're trying to break the habit of doing drugs, don't go to rehab. Go to a fucking dance club.
Dance club with no drugs.
No drugs.
Sober club.
Those are like a thing now.
Yeah, like the Daybreakers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was I like forgot the name of it. That was exactly
Those
it.
are so fun. I've been to one or two of those.
Really, I've always wanted to go, but I would never wake up that early. Trying to get in the habit of waking.
Oh my God.
That's a podcast for a different day, but I have so many friends. This happened to me literally this fucking morning. My friends outside of you, because you and I are on the same page. My friends are such morning people.
I thought you're a morning person.
I know, and they are like 6 a.m. morning people.
That's how Corey is.
That's disgusting. Yeah. That is a habit. Honestly, I don't want that fucking habit. Keep it. Keep that habit.
I would rather be a night owl.
I'm not even a night owl. I'm a midday budger. That's a type of bird, right?
I don't think so. Buzzard?
No, budgie.
Budgie?
Like
What's
a
a
parakeet.
budgie? I don't know. I'm
like
a
midday person. Don't
like
hang out with me at night.
Anxiety-ridden, sleeps in late pigeon.
You? What would I be? I want to be a bird.
I thought you were a budgie.
Well, you don't know what a budgie is, so that's not fun.
Parakeet?
I think a budgie is a parakeet.
Well, then just say parakeet. Everyone knows what a parakeet is.
I don't know where budgie came from.
I'm definitely Googling it afterwards.
Okay. Before we wrap up, Allie, from one budgie to another, what's your cheers?
Honestly, my cheers is that I got a $75 gift card to Uchiko in the mail, and I'm so stoked to use it. Can't wait for happy hour. It's like the universe was like, here you go. You need to pick me up.
How did you get that? Just like
it was like thanks for being a friend, supporter, and I'm like, I can't remember the last time I went to Uchiko. So, I'm not
complaining.
Don't take me off your list, Uchiko.
Mm-mm.
Keep me.
keep Allie so I can be kept by association.
What's your cheers of the week?
My cheers of the week is last night. So we are recording this on Saturday before the episode releases, but Friday was the full moon. Apparently
I loved it.
It was beautiful. It was so big and bright.
So big and beautiful and gorgeous. Yes.
But apparently it was a strawberry full moon, which Farmer's Almanac is like, that's when strawberries are like ripe.
Love.
So fun fact.
I had a strawberry Greek yogurt this morning.
Look at you celebrating the strawberry full moon. You didn't even know.
I had no idea.
I love that.
I love it.
But Free People Movement. I am not a Free People girl, but they have like a workout line called FP Movement. Mm-hmm. There's a store here in Austin. They did an event yesterday for the full moon. So I did that. There was a yoga flow, a tarot card reading,
That's fun.
and a sound bath. And we got a free set as well. We did pay for, like, there was a ticketed event, but it was just a really cool event. And it was cool to like hang out with some friends and just like be in the full moon energy. So I'm cheersing to the full moon and time well spent with good friends.
That sounds fun. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, I hope this was helpful. I know that we kind of like hit on a lot of different things about building habits, breaking old habits down, but hopefully this was really helpful to y'all.
If y'all have other tips for breaking the habit of being perpetually late,
let a girl know.
I will gladly take that advice. She's still working on it.
She's a work in progress.
Yes.
It's a work in progress. It wouldn't be fun if we were all perfect.
You know, it really wouldn't.
Like, what would we do?
Cheers to being the best versions of yourself.
Exactly. See you guys next week.
Cheers.